Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome back to part 2 of my root over temple Ficus benjamina. I've got my root over temple planting back in the greenhouse here. The overnight lows are starting to get a little cool. Tonight we're expecting a low of 9 degrees Celsius. So I'll have to put the heat on in the greenhouse to keep everything just a little warmer. Over here I have a new pair of pruners that Tom from the YouTube channel Grow and Clip Bonsai for Seniors sent me. And this is from Ironwood Tools. It's really nice. It's has a catch to open it up here. Like that. And the handles, they really fit your hand well. It's probably the most comfortable pair of pruners I own. They just like fit your hand perfectly. They're kind of sculpted really nicely. And they're extremely sharp. I think you could shave with those no problem. They're very, very sharp. So thanks a lot, Tom. I think these are a welcome addition to my bonsai tools. My plan is to repot my root over temple ficus back into that round terracotta pot. I still have that pot. However, that pot is occupied by my acacia trees. Over here under the bench is that original terracotta pot, still in good shape. I have my acacia trees planted in it, so I'll have to slip pot them out of this pot into a new pot, and then this pot will be available for my root over temple ficus. I'll try and get a new pot made, the similar dimensions to the terracotta pot, made from a nice clay, maybe a gray clay, and I'll get some feet put under it, and I think that'll be the new home for my root over temple ficus bonsai. Outside the door of the greenhouse here, you can kind of see it through the glazing here, is a new bonsai stand that Matt made. At the last KW meeting, we discussed a stand to fit under my large forest, that size of pot. It could either be the large forest or my Avatar Grove forest. That, that large size mica pot. And we discussed the dimensions a lot, tried out a lot of ideas, and this is what we came up with. I had 2 pieces of highly figured red maple, so I gave that to Matt to make the stand out of. And we tried to come up with the perfect dimensions, and I'm almost afraid to try it. I hope it works. I guess we'll see. So let's go through the doors here and have a look at the new stand for my large forest. Here it is. I just picked it up last night. It's been raining all morning, so this is the first time I've gotten to try it out with a forest on it. So we wanted the stand to look fairly sturdy because it is a large, heavy planting going on it. So I hope it looks good. You never know. Stands and pots, you try and pick out the best that you imagine is the best possible match. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, I won't know until I try it. But here's a look at it. So you can see how the maple is very striped. Has a lot of interest in the wood itself. So the feet are made from the same maple. If I turn it around, there's a bit of the heartwood showing, which is really cool. So I have the option. Let me just set the camera down. Over here, you can see a bit of the heartwood showing, which is cool. I like that. So I have the option of showing either side, depending. Maybe you have that color in your planting and it matches really nicely. I love features like that because it shows, it's not a veneer. It's made with real solid wood. Beautiful. I love, I don't hate, but I like wood that has grain. Some would call them imperfections, but I think that just makes them perfect. There's a look at the bottom of the stand. And there's Matt Bebenek's signature and date 2022. Awesome. So I think there's nothing left to do now but to try the forest out on it. Here's a look at the pots that I tried to size the stand for. So it's these big mica pots. One with my larch forest, one with the Avatar Grove. So I think I'll try the larch forest out first. All right, here I go. Trying it out for the very first time. Sure hope I like it. Okay. Center it on the stand. Let's step back now and have a look. All right, here I go. I haven't stepped back to look at it yet, so this is my first initial reaction. Here I go. Stepping back. Okay. So, my initial reaction is the stand looks very solid. Maybe too heavy. Maybe not. I don't know. It looks pretty good down here. Maybe I just have to bring the planting a little more forward. Oh yeah, I have it all pushed to the back. How's that looking? That's looking pretty good. So we went with the light stand. So you have the dark pot, light stand. If you go with a dark stand and a dark pot, the pot just kind of blends in with the stand. So it's nice to have a bit of a contrast. I'm just looking at it. I'm thinking my initial thought is maybe these are a little heavy, these pieces out front. If I cover it up, the stand looks a lot lighter and less massive. And even if I cover up part of that, if I go like that, you can see it looks a little, I think it matches a little better. So maybe, you know, I think maybe this just has to be brought back a bit, is my thinking. Or lightened up a bit. You know, maybe if I were to cut this square here and then put some holes in here, like small rectangular holes or something, might, you know, give it the solid strength look and yet still be strong. But I think the size of the table is perfect, and maybe I need to get used to it a bit here. But yeah, I think it's just looking a little massive at the front there, just because of that piece is maybe a little too solid. That's my initial feeling. I'm going to play around with it in Photoshop a bit and just, you know, try some variations. Let me try the Avatar Grove on it. The other possibility is to stain this piece darker, so it kind of matches the pot color and kind of disappears, maybe. That's another possibility. I'll try it in GIMP and see how it looks. I have got my Avatar Grove on the stand now, so let's have a look at that. All right, here it is. Let's pull back, have a look. So there it is, the Avatar Grove on the stand. I think that looks fantastic. I think the stand matches the planting really well. I think that's like perfect. The extra mass I have of the hill on top of the pot just balances beautifully with the stand. I think this is a match made in heaven, this one. So yeah, quite a different look to the larch forest, and yeah, very pleasant. Yeah, I wouldn't want any lighter stand underneath this planting. It looks just perfect. Wow, it's amazing, amazing. So that is just a perfect match. And it is starting to rain, so I've got to get my stand back inside. But yeah, wow, that is just, I think, perfect. Once I trim the trees up, it's going to look fantastic. So yeah, I've got a lot of work to do on this planting to get it ready for the show, but that'll be coming in another video. So what an awesome stand. Now Matt also made me 2 other stands, so I'll get those out too if it stops raining. It rained for a fairly long time, so I went in, had lunch. The rain has stopped and we're back at it. So here is stand number 2. This is an oak stand and a very large stand. So it might fit my giant rectangular pot that I have my very first ficus in and my schefflera. So let's go have a look at the stand now. Stand number 2. Here it is. So a really beautiful stand. This is made from oak flooring, so it's nice and strong, beautiful looking. Matt has put the square dowels in here, which looks really, really cool. I like that. A nice kind of low stand, nice and large, so I'm going to try and fit the big plastic pot on it. Here's the pots here. These were sent to me by Jerome and Mari from We Are the Bonsai Supply. So they're, you know, big plastic pots, very nice pots, nice style to them. And there's one on the schefflera here too. So I'm going to try the schefflera first. All right, here I go. All right, let's pull back, have a look. There it is. So it's not too bad. The stand's a little big, but it's not bad. I mean, the pot and everything looks very comfortable on it. I like everything. I think the stand, the styling is really nice on it. Matches the tree really well. I think if the tree was grown out a bit, you know, maybe to here and on this side over to here, I think it would look perfect. I think the stand is the right size for the pot. I think the tree is just too small for the pot. It just needs to spread out, which was my intention with this pot, is that these branches grow out, drop more aerial roots into the soil. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think that's a good size with this pot. I could move it forward a bit. It's a little too far back. So maybe to there. How's that look? Yeah, that looks even better. Maybe just back a little more. Yeah, I think that's looking quite nice. Let's try some more trees on this. Let's try the Avatar Grove, see how it looks. Here it is. Here is the Avatar Grove on stand number 2. It looks good. I like it. Yeah, it fits it nicely. It's not too big a stand. Looks very comfortable on there. I think the pot needs to come forward just a little bit. Maybe to there. Yeah, I think that's very nice. I have a feeling that the larch forest will look even better. I'm hoping anyway. I think the other stand looked better with the Avatar Grove. The heavier stand, I think it looked, you know, the perfect match with the Avatar Grove. Hoping this stand is the perfect match with the larch forest. Let's try it out and see. Here it is. Here is the larch forest on stand number 2. You know, I am really liking that. Really liking that. That looks tailor-made. Yeah, I think that's looking really, really good. Wow. Yeah. I think that's what we'll do. This is for the large forest. Stand number 1 will be for the Avatar Grove. And it doesn't end there. I have a third stand. Here it is, stand number 3. So stand number 3 is made from the same striped maple as stand number 1, the red maple. So you can see it'll match it really nicely. And this stand is made to hold an accent plant beside stand number 1. So even though this is stand number 2 here, you get the idea. And I think the fern looks quite nice with the larch forest. Yeah, so there is the 3 stands that Matt made, and they're fantastic. They're just absolutely fantastic. Really, you know, shows your trees off nicely at a show, putting it on a table like that. Yeah. Wow. So thanks very much, Matt. These are fantastic stands. Here's a look at stand number 3 without the fern on top. So you can see it's got a big knot in it. Lots of character. Lots of nice stripes in the maple. Yeah, really cool. Here's a look at my Ficus with an accent plant on the table. So it looks, you know, quite a nice display too. Fills the table up nicely. Yeah, so that's another possibility, is to use, you know, smaller tree with an accent plant on the larger table. Here's a look at my very first bonsai, my Ficus microcarpa from seed. So here, the tree looks too small for the stand and the pot. This is a training pot. I'm growing the roots out larger, and then I'll be cutting them back, hoping to get nice kind of ribbon aerial roots someday. That's my goal. So yeah, this tree is still fairly small. It's going to get bigger as it grows and matures, so I think eventually it'll look perfect on this table. Here's a look at my northern bog forest on stand number 2. I think in this case, because the forest is so upright, the trees are thin, again the stand looks too heavy underneath it. Too massive. It needs probably, yeah, just a more delicate stand, and maybe a taller stand too. Because the trees are so tall, maybe it needs to be elevated up a bit. I don't know. Here is a look at my northern forest on stand number 1, and I think it looks better. I don't know why, but it does. It just seems to yeah, it just seems to match it a little better. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you never know what stand looks good with what tree till you try it out. I mean, you can do your best guesses. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But yeah, I mean, it's like pots. You've got to have 10 pots available, try them all out, and find the one that looks the best. And it's the same with stands. You need lots of stands so you can interchange them, try different stands, different styles, different weights, different heights. It never ends. It's just, you know, that's the art form, trying to match, get the perfect tree, the perfect pot, the perfect stand, the perfect display. It's all, and then, you know, what looks good to you may not look good to someone else either. It's all very subjective, I guess. But interesting. I sure like these stands though. These tables are fantastic. There's a look at the maple table with its matching accent table. Really cool. Ah, it's just beautiful. I could play around with trees and tables all day, I think, but I better get back to work on my root over temple ficus. I tried one more planting on top of the table. my Chinese village penjing. So it certainly makes the penjing pot look tiny. It makes the whole scene look very small. But it's not too bad. I think the other table would look really good with it. Table number 1. But I do have some other tables from Matt that would probably suit this quite nicely too, that tall brown one. Maybe I'll get that out and try it. Well, the stand is just a little bit too small, but I do like the style of the stand with it. I think that ornamental kind of style really suits it. Kind of matches the, you know, all the styling details in the houses. The fancy swoops, like the feet down here, and yeah, it just matches really nicely. Here is the pot I'll be using for my root over temple ficus. And you know, it fits that stand pretty nicely. Yeah, that's a pretty good stand. I think it'll look good with the temple and the ficus on top. Fits that stand really nicely. So that's good. That means if I do decide to display this root over temple ficus, I have a stand that'll match it really nicely. My first step of getting my round pot available is to repot all my acacias into a new pot. And I picked this plastic Ficus bonsai pot because it's fairly deep. I think it's a good size to fit all the trees in without, you know, doing a lot of root work. So here I go. I'm going to begin by pulling all these weeds out. Hopefully I can get them by the roots. Oh yeah, they're coming. Wow, look at the root system on that weed. Funny thing about these weeds is that the leaves fold up at night, just like the acacias. They're kind of matching weeds to the tree. But I better get rid of them. I'm going to check now to see if it lifts off like with one root pad, or if, you know, it's individual trees. So it looks like it's one big root pad underneath, which is, you know, good. So I can definitely get it out of the pot. The new pot is looking maybe a little small, but let's have a look. Let's get it out. Take my pot away. So acacias are a temperate tree. In the winter they'll lose their leaves here anyway. So I don't really want to repot them this time of year because I don't want to disturb their roots, not until spring. And this pot is looking a little small. I'd rather a pot that I can just, you know, transfer the whole root mass into a new pot. I could get a plastic pot the same size as this one and do that, just kind of plunk it in. I'll look around, see what I've got. I don't think I have a big round pot that size, but I'll look around and see what I have. I have this one, a round plastic training pot that I drilled holes in, but again, it's too small. I need like a size up. I think a plastic tub like my American elm is in here would be perfect. It's a little deeper for them. It's the right diameter. That would be the perfect training pot for my acacias. So I think I'll have to go out and get one. I can get these at the farm supply store. I'll measure the diameter, make sure I get the right size, and I will be back. Well, it seems like all the farm supply stores were running low on their shallow buckets. This was the only one I could find. It's quite a bit bigger than I wanted to get. So I'm thinking maybe my elm tree can go in this one, and then the acacias can go in the elm tree pot. I'll show you that one. Here's the pot the elm is in. So that's the size I wanted to get, but they just didn't have any. I tried 2 places and nothing. So my elm tree could go in a larger pot. It could go in the deeper one here, kind of rapidly thickening it up and growing branches and that. It definitely could use more vigor. It's always done okay in this pot, but never super vigorous like it is in the ground. So I'm thinking, yeah, maybe a deeper pot, a little more room for those roots to stretch out. Might do it some good. And then, you know, I can reduce the root base back again and someday fit it in a bonsai pot. So I'm thinking that's my plan. I think this one will lift out of here quite easily if I... Yeah, it's just loose in there. So that's what I'll do. I'll have to drill some drainage holes in the bottom of this pot. This pot is made in the USA. Increased cold weather, cracking resistance, excellent farm animal feeder, large 6.5 gallon capacity, built stronger to last longer. Guaranteed 5 years on colors, 1 year on the black. So this is a black one, so it's guaranteed for a year at least. I've had really good luck. This is the same make, this one. And I don't know, I've had it for many, many years and it's done really well. Really tough plastic. I've got my drill bit, a big auger drill bit. I got a block of wood that I can place the pot on for drilling so it doesn't drill a hole in the table. So I'm all ready to go. Here goes hole number 1. Well, that worked really nicely. What a nice hole it put in. Just beautiful. That's awesome. Okay, that's one hole. I think I just voided my warranty. There we go. Well, that went very well. Another perfect hole. Nice and clean. Wow. That's awesome. So there's 5 holes. I think that's enough. Here's a look at the holes. Yeah, really nice holes. Nice and clean. Both sides. So that'll work really well. A good sized pot for the elm. In spring, I'm going to be doing a thorough repotting of this tree, bare rooting it, combing out the roots, trimming the roots for balance. So for now, I'm going to be slip potting it into the new pot, which is a lot deeper. So I'm just going to put like a shallow layer of soil in here, put the tree in the pot, and then wait for spring and I'll do a proper repotting, filling it up to the correct level to allow all those new roots to grow all throughout this pot. So it'll be kind of the rapid growth phase for this tree. And I've said before, I never rapidly grow my trees until I get the root base sorted out. Once the root base is nice, radial, and balanced, that's the time that you put them in the big pots and you grow them fast. If you try and grow them fast when they're young and the roots aren't sorted out, you'll get all these bad roots, which will just get thicker and worse. So it's best to get your roots sorted out, nice and radial, nice and balanced, nice ramification, then you grow the tree larger. That's my philosophy anyway. My drainage screens are in place, so I'll add a base layer of soil to the bottom, not very thick, and plant the tree. I'm adding the soil now. This is used soil because it's just temporary until spring when I properly repot this tree. I'll just level off that base layer of soil. Alright, so now I can get the elm out of the old pot here and into the new pot. So here I go. Alright, here I go. Grab the elm up here, I think. Lift it out, lots of roots. Get it in here and down on top of the soil. Here's a look at the tree in its new pot. So you can see there's a bit of space that I can fill in with soil around the edges. Not a whole lot. Looks like, the tub was about the same size, same angle. So, yeah, that's looking pretty good. I don't have to do anything, just add a bit of soil around the edges now. Okay. Just kind of rock the tree to get that soil settled in between the pot and the existing root mass. Here's the elm in its new home. It's nice and sturdy in there. Got lots of soil surrounding it. So now it needs a good water, and then I'll put it back on the bench. All right, here I go with the water. Oh, nice. So that is draining really nicely. Perfect. The tree has been repotted. All right, so that can go back on the bench. Phase 2 is planting the acacias in the former elm pot here, which is a lot shallower. So this one has to come indoors for the winter down in the basement. This one can stay outside in the greenhouse, so it doesn't really matter how big this pot is for the elm. I'll be doing the exact same repotting with the acacias into this pot as I did with the elm. Putting my drainage screens in, a shallow layer of soil, putting the planting in and kind of backfilling it a bit. So here I go. So I'll lift it up like that. Place it on the top. Oh, that fits perfectly. Look at that. Just a perfect fit. Trying to push it down, make good contact with the soil below. So these trees will get a lot more drainage now with the taller pot. It should help their health. I think it'll improve the health of these trees. All right, here I go with the water. Here is a look at the acacia trees in their new pot, which is quite a bit deeper than the old one, which should help the roots to grow really nicely, give better drainage in the soil. In spring, I'm going to do a proper repot of all these trees. I may even separate the fever trees from the sweet thorns. The fever trees tend to like more water. They live closer to swamps. If I put them in separate pots, that would allow me to control the amount of water they get a little more precisely. Yeah, so that'll be coming up in spring, the big repot. I will prune these back before they come in for the winter, so you can see how tall they're getting. So they'll need a pruning. Prune them right back, repot them in spring, and then let them grow once again next year. That was a lot of work today to free up the one pot I want to use for my root over temple ficus, so that'll be coming up in part 3. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.